It's the Christmas rush. I've been speaking to a lot of guys and I'm seeing how burnt out, overwhelmed, and anxious most guys are. Most of the guys that I speak to are getting up at ridiculous hours in the morning. They're working 6 to 7 days a week and they're absolutely spent. I've missed coaching calls with them. I've missed good conversations with them, and it's sad to see. It's really sad to see that this time of the year, everyone just seems to go so much harder than they usually do. And the crazy thing about it, it's the end of the year. We're at the end of the year right now, and we're working harder than we've ever worked. And I learned this lesson maybe 3 or 4 years ago that it's not it. It really is not it. And over the past few years and becoming a coach, I have put it down to, it's not your business structure. It's not how optimized you are. It's not how well functioned you are. It's not your team. It's not anything. It's your ability to say no. You probably get into that like September, October month, and you're probably booked out pretty comfortably to the end of the year. And then you get that phone call. You're like, hey, could you fit us in? It'd be a massive favor. It would be a massive favor if you could fit us in. You're like, oh yeah, like okay, I'll do it. Then you might get like another opportunity that's like a really good opportunity, and the money's really fucking good. You're like, oh, I can't pass that down. The money's too good. And I get it. It's very tempting. It's very tempting. But the question that always comes to my mind is why? Why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? The money is never worth it. The money is never worth burying ourselves in the ground and pushing ourselves to burnout. We get to the end of the year, finally get it done, right? We're absolutely cooked. And then we spend our 2 to 3 weeks off absolutely just smashed. And we're trying to make up for lost time, and we're trying to enjoy it to the absolute best that we can. And we're probably going to have a little bit more fun than we usually do, because it just feels like such a prison break, like a getaway, right? Because we just worked so hard all year, and then we've even pushed even fucking harder to get to that point. And then at the end of the year, we have those 2 to 3 weeks and we're like, party, let's go, release. When if we just took it a little bit easier, we could start enjoying the holiday Christmas festive season a little bit earlier, and we could have enjoyed the time off a lot more. Because usually after a push like we usually do the last 3 months of the year, 2 weeks isn't enough. 3 weeks isn't enough. And then you get back to the start, you're going to get into 2025 and you're going to be like, fuck. I just can't be fucked. It's like, you'll have a little bit more motivation, a little bit more inspiration because you've had 2 or 3 weeks off, but you're like, here we go again. And as a business owner, it's completely challenging because, you have to, it just feels like you have to do it. You feel like you have to always be on. Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be. I want you to really consider when you go into the Christmas rush next year and then going into next year now, how important saying yes is to all of these jobs. I want you to really consider how working this many hours benefits you. Because if I was to ask you to map out your day, tell me how hard you're working, and then tell me how you're actually enjoying your time off, I'm sure we would get to the point where it's like, you make all this extra money, you've worked 6 or 7 days a week for the last 3 months, yet your expenses are way higher because you're careless and reckless. You're not thinking straight. You're tired all the time. You're fatigued. You're not looking after your health. You're not looking after your mental health. You're probably not a present father/mother because you're working too hard. So it's like kind of defeats his purpose, right? And I know if you're in a business expansion phase, you get into this point. You get to this point where you're like, well, I'm at this point where I need to do all the work. It's like, sure, I get that, but it's like, to what cost? And I've always thought in my head that if it sacrifices my mental, my physical, or my emotional or spiritual health, I won't do it. It's like, sure, you commit to certain things that push you, but it's like, why are we getting to that point? Why are we getting to that point? And it's self-sabotage. We think that we need to please everyone. We think we need to do all this work. But at the end of the day, you don't actually have to do that work. Fill out your calendar 80% and have 20% to look at things differently, right? This pressure and this stress that we put under ourselves, it actually doesn't have to be run like that. If you allowed more time in your days, more time in your week to actually be on, you would think differently and you would actually make more money with less effort. You would consider hiring someone. You would consider increasing your prices and do less work. You would think differently. I can sit here and tell you all the things to do, but if you're not thinking the right way, if you don't have the energy levels to think like a businessman and look at the outside of your business, you'll never grow into that freedom and time that you want. So stop self-sabotaging yourself. Stop self-sabotaging yourself. Allow more time into your life so you can actually grow your business. Because otherwise, what the fuck do we get into business for? If we're not actually looking at scaling our business for profits, right? We all want fucking money, but allowing the freedom to do what the fuck we want with it. Because if you get to 50k months and you're doing the exact same thing you were doing at 10k months just at a bigger scale, you're going to be worse off. So stop self-sabotaging yourself. Take some time to yourself. Have a breath in the morning. Stop trying to please everyone. Start respecting yourself. Start having an extra hour or two a day if you can't have a day off. Have a day off. Just learn to say no and learn that it doesn't actually matter if you have time off. It doesn't actually matter if you have a day off. It doesn't. You can, it always fucking works out. You will always pick up. And if you're that under the pump, just find someone to do it. The money isn't fucking worth it. I can guarantee you. If you outsource your workload right now, if you are under the pump and you're working 6 or 7 days a week and you're getting up at ridiculous hours just to get everything done before Christmas, outsource some of that work. The money that you lose on that job, you will make back in 2025 because you're thinking differently. You are thinking differently. As always, take a breath. And ask yourself, is all of this really necessary? Because it's most likely not.